I have my other machine is open.
And
So we should find the live URL on your account, Matt, your YouTube account.
it's actually the Software Testing World Cup YouTube account, which I am getting into right now. Just got an email from Uwe with a test report, Cape Town YouTube channel. Yeah, here we go. Yep. Awesomeness. So I'm going to put it in the... Hello, everyone. I think... Yeah, we're live and broadcasting on YouTube. Everyone should have an email from Uwe Gelfert. Excuse me, Uwe Gelfert, who this morning with all the information for the software under test, how to file bugs, and of course how to find this video. And you should have started watching it about right now. So if you go to the YouTube channel, which I just did for the Software Testing World Cup, we're live. Let me triple check that worked. Yeah. So you'll see Software Testing World Cup 2014 Africa. Click on it, and you will see the live video of this broadcast, delayed about 30 to 60 seconds. I'm going to go there now because that should be where you should be going to file questions, which we'll try to answer. And I'm going to post a link up to Twitter.
For that, Software Testing World Cup.
I think so.
And I'm probably going to, I will probably also email the Software Testing World Cup players list just in case you missed it. Now because that's a question.
I'm not getting used to the delay here between.
Yeah.
And I'm going to write an email to the players, very, very briefly. Eric, I think we.
Yes.
No, everybody needs a login to play. They need a login. So if you're not really on the Africa team, then you really can't play this round because you have to log in. Yeah. For some of the competitions that don't have a login, we have. You know, you can just play along if you pick up the URL from Twitter and but I don't think that's going to work this time. So I guess that'll make it easier on us if I can remember the right hashtag. 2014.
You okay following up on the second server while
Yeah.
we're cooking here?
Is it just set up for cold then? Does it need other things or?
I did something where
and if you're on Twitter, you can use the hashtag STWC 2014.
You can run everything, yeah, that'll do it.
So I'm wondering.
Yeah, I have
to see if there are questions.
If someone can write.
Right. If we need to translate this from German into English. Change my user to Matt Hoiser. I should translate into English. Okay, so let's get the introductions going. Typically what we do is we spend the first 20-30 minutes talking to the product owners about the product, what it does, how it works, how it should be tested. Of course, you can always put the audio on and you can go ahead and test in the background while you listen. Or you could listen attentively as a team. Or you could figure out your team strategy, who is testing what. But you only get 3 hours total, right? So you've got to learn the product, figure out your test strategy, do your testing, file bugs, and create a test report, turn in the test report, all in 3 hours. How you spend that time, of course, what you do with it is up to you. Today we have Eric Gard, QA manager at Highland Software. Good morning, Eric. Oh, wait. It's Dave. Dave Guard.
Guard, yes.
Dave Guard, QA manager. You'll understand why I'm confused in a minute. QA manager at Highland Software, and it is morning USA Eastern time, so we should probably go with Cape Town, Africa time just for discussion. So good evening, Dave.
Good evening.
And we also have we have Eric Davis, who is the manager of testing at Highland. So, I know Eric much better. He's the one with the hair that is currently orange. I'm sure there's a story there, but maybe we can get to it later. For now, Dave, tell us about the software that we're testing.
Okay. We are going to be taking a look at the beta version of OnBase 14, which is going to scheduled to be released later this year. So again, we are looking at beta software. We are looking at the web-based client of our OnBase product suite. You guys are some of the first non-Highland employees actually to see the software, so we're really excited about this. We're just looking in general for good usability feedback, actionable items. If you see that as you're working through the software, the interface, it doesn't seem like it makes sense or it's hard to navigate, give us that type of feedback. We would consider that a bug if the software is not very usable.
But you want, sorry to interrupt, but you also want to know how to fix it, right? You don't just want, it's not very usable, I get stuck, but what should we do to make it better, right?
Exactly, yeah. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, we hear from a lot of people, it sucks, or it looks like this, or it looks like that, but then we ask, okay, what can we do to make it better? Oh, I don't know, just make it better. So yeah, we're looking for the what and the why and the how, if you give us that type of feedback today. Like any piece of software, general functionality testing. Is it working the way you describe or you think it should? If you're entering a search for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are you getting the documents back that meet that criteria of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? We consider that integrity of the data in the system. Customers who are using OnBase, they have millions, sometimes billions of documents in this repository. And with the good old garbage in, garbage out mentality or way of thinking, if they can't find the information that they're ingesting into our system, that's a big problem to them. So we're always looking for that type of testing. Overall performance we're interested in, with the caveat that we are not in any way interested in any sort of intentional denial of service or load testing. We have folks internally who handle that for us. We would like you guys just to focus on, I'm an end user, this is how I would use the system. So please don't take our server down today. It's kind of like an honor system, all 200 people competing. If you bring it down for one, you're going to bring it down for everyone.
Yeah, and you won't even get good performance data out of it because you've got X number of simultaneous users automatically doing real simulated use because they're actually testing it, plus the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever fake load you put on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. So tell me about who buys this software. What do they use it for?
Traditionally, it's not a consumer product, at least not yet. It is a business application, enterprise. We have a lot of enterprise users, and we have even small companies. From day one, we've designed the OnBase product suite to be scalable. So we have small doctors' offices with 1 or 2 physicians and maybe 5 back-end clerical workers using it. Or we have some of the largest companies in the world with tens and 20 and 30,000 users at a time accessing our system. So it's very scalable. What we are storing in our system is documents. OnBase is what's known as an electronic content management suite, ECM for short. So we scan documents, we digitize them, we work with a lot of electronic forms. You won't be testing it today, but we also have a robust workflow engine that helps to route and move these documents around the system. But we're basically an electronic filing cabinet. So we help customers get rid of the warehouses of paper that they may be storing for years on end. And so they have to carry the cost of storing that paper and the cost of what happens if they lose that piece of paper, and then the cost of transporting it back and forth between offices. So that's what OnBase really does for these businesses, that everything is in the system, it's electronic, it's retrievable, you have seconds notice. Am I forgetting anything, Eric?
I don't think so.
No.
That was a
Okay.
good intro.
Thanks.
Oh, why is Matt?
Do we lose audio?
Matt, I can't hear you in the Hangout anymore. What happened?
Oh, I muted because I was typing. And,
Oh, there we go.
if I type, you'll either pick up click, 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 or Google will mute me anyway, and then when I want to talk, it won't work. So yeah, we've got posts already in the channel. The first one being, we have a Windows 8.1 touchscreen all-in-one computer. Should we conduct compatibility testing on the site using the touchscreen, as this is not tablet/mobile, but it's still a touch device?
That's a good question. Give it a try. We officially do not support that today, but we would be interested in that feedback. We definitely would be.
So that's really interesting, because I was at Highland just January 2013.
Yep.
To do a small assignment, and there were people in the class using touchscreens that had Windows 8 back then.
Sure. Yeah, we have some in the building. We haven't had requests from anybody to intentionally use the product on one.
Yeah, I would guess if anything's going to be a slow adopter of that, the enterprise that purchases Highland software would probably be not the fastest person to require that functionality.
Right, and well, we have had requests to that nature, but we're not looking at it today. But we have an entire mobile division here. So I know the touchscreen Windows 8, Windows 8 ones, that's kind of crossing over both realms there. But we have dedicated mobile applications and a dedicated mobile and tablet and touchscreen product that we're developing. Just unfortunately, the web client that we're looking at today, we don't have that compatibility with. And we may not. We're still trying to figure out, do we just get our mobile suite to have a full set of features and have our customers use that client, or have them use the web client? But we have had a lot of people ask for it, that's for sure.
So is this typically, I'm a big enterprise, or a small one, but I typically buy the software and then get it hosted behind my firewall on my own hardware? Do you have a hosted option?
We do, yeah, we have both options. Our customers can go premise-based or hosted, or they can even do a hybrid of both. We have some customers that will make the investment in all the hardware, the database servers, the web servers, the application servers, but then they use our cloud services division to host a backup redundant copy. So the web client, again, that we're looking at today, the vast majority of our cloud services customers use that client, or that's the way we deploy our cloud-based offering, I should say, is via this web client. But yeah, it's designed for both.
Nice. Do you want to take the screen over, make it a screencast, go ahead and log in and give us a tour?
We can try. Let's see.
If you're in the Hangout, screen share will be at left. It's a picture of a monitor with an arrow.
It's an interesting request because currently I'm running the Hangout on my own machine, which happens to be a Chromebook, which only.
Oh yeah, you can't even run Firefox. You could download Firefox, right?
I could download Firefox. I'd have to download Firefox though if you give me a minute.
That's awesome. So the application currently supports IE and Firefox, which, if you weren't on the channel, we were just talking about the perils of fast release cycles because, of course, Highland likes to have their software tested for every major build of every major browser, and Chrome releases very, very quickly. Well, relatively quickly. Major releases are 6 weeks, and of course they can do updates at any time. So Highland isn't supporting Chrome right now because of timing of testing and releases. Which we were talking about on the back channel. So if you try to log in, you're going to want to use IE 9 or newer, or Firefox or newer, or it'll tell you that when you try. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. And if we have any Mac users, we also support Safari as well. Not sure what the demographic is, or if we have Mac users, Windows users. Again, if anyone knows anyone at Google, if we can get Firefox's ESR equivalent, if we could get that into Chrome, then we could definitely support Chrome in our software.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by Firefox's ESR equivalent?
Firefox has two different release channels. They have the ESR channel, which is more of I guess you could say a controlled release for enterprise customers where you're not getting a new version every 4 to 6 weeks. They will bundle up all of their updates into 1 to 2 major releases a year, and it's a separate download that you get from Mozilla, but it's basically the same software, just with not as frequent updates. So it allows, again, enterprises to test their own internal applications and control the upgrades of the browsers. And that's the direction that we've decided to go because, again, we can then look at those 2 major releases a year for Firefox and be able to say that we're compatible with those 2 releases.
And it appears that without modifying things heavily in the system, you can't install Firefox on a Chromebook.
Haha.
You can on Android, but I'm not running that on Android.
That's funny.
I did not think about screencasting. I just thought, hey, this will be easier.
I probably can give a tour if Dave tells me what to do, right? So I could do a screencast, but I really just don't know the app.
Okay.
Let me see if I could find. Yeah, I need to create a new Chrome window. No, Firefox. It needs to be Firefox. See if I can screencast that. Screen share. OnBase. Screen share. And clicky. Yep, so you should see my OnBase now. I'm going to log in. Login's going to be first name, last name, all in capitals. You should have had this emailed to you. If you can't figure out your login, let us know in the YouTube and your email address, and we'll figure it out. And my password is something that I'm going to type in. And here I am in documenty stuff. What should I do now, Dave?
So our first drop down where it says document type groups, so that is your higher level groupings. So you see, I believe in this database we have human resources, accounts payable, accounts receivable. Think of that your departmental groupings of documents. So like accounts payable, right? So if we select that, And then in the second list, then these are all of our what we call document types. We have check images. We might have aging reports. Anything that an accounts payable department or end user might want to categorize their documents and their type of work. So you can select either one or many of those. And as you select your document types, notice that we have date fields, and this is how I'm going to conduct my search. I want to search maybe the documents going back to year 2000 or maybe 2005.
This is going to be U.S. style dates, right? So 01, this would be January 2000. Can we do that? Paste
Sure.
it. And we're going to move it up to the July 2nd of this year. So that's pretty much a whole bunch of documents, right? We hope. I know you've seeded it with test data. And everybody's on the same account, so if I delete it, you're not going to be able to see it anymore?
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct. And now that we've conducted our search, this is our result list. We call our hit list of documents. Every document has kind of a title, or we call it an auto name string, but it's a title that we give on the document. So you can search through there, you can scroll, you can do a single select on the document, and everywhere in OnBase you can right-click on your selected documents, and you get this set of features. So you can look at the keywords on the document. It's the metadata behind it. You can look at the history. You can do a lot of different things to interact with this document. So the types of things that you might want to do with a check, with a piece of paper or something that's been digitized and stored in the system.
So when I click View Thumbnails, you can't see it because you can only see one window at a time. But I get a pop-up that says, check 661 to Computers R Us for invoice 1220 in the amount of $837.71. No image available. Yet I see an image here. Is that a bug?
It could be, yeah. That's a valid bug. This particular document is a PDF in the system. So yeah, I would consider that a bug. Usually we don't have thumbnails on PDFs, but you shouldn't see that.
So then View Thumbnails should probably be grayed out?
It should be, yes.
So one of my favorite quick attacks that I talk about in my class that Eric's probably heard me talk about is we have both of us logged in. We can both see all these documents. You bring all the documents up. I right-click and delete. You double-click on it. So it's been deleted, but it's in your list, and you double-click on it. What's going to happen? That's just one of my favorite tests. What's going to happen? What's the right behavior there?
Well, the right behavior is that you would get a message, the document, a pleasant message that the document doesn't exist.
What do you think is going to happen?
When you try to load the document, you should get a message that the document does not exist or has been removed from the system.
You think that's going to happen?
It should happen.
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
So I'm going to go ahead and log in Safari as a different user. I'm going to take Judge 3, or the third Judge user. What? I can't log. Oh man, I'm going to stop because I'm finding too many bugs for our audience. It's because it's the. I just cut and pasted the URL. Of course, that didn't work. It didn't work either. That's really odd. What version of Safari is this? Yeah. So, I'm finding bugs. I'll stop. This is supposed to be your time. You the players. But nice. So there are bugs out there. Fine. It's a beta. It's real software. Of course there are. Next question. What is the overall security policy?
The overall security policy, I guess I could answer that in two ways. The user accounts that we have created for all the competitors they're not a super user, but they have rights to do just about everything in the system. So everything that you see in the menus, deleting documents, for example, re-indexing documents, changing things, these users have rights to do that. I guess the security policy, like for those who are actually doing security testing, we're running over HTTPS. We should have a secure connection here. If you find any, true, security hacks, so to speak, the software should not be allowing that. Like a good example, a lot of cross-site scripting. A lot of security testers try to attack applications in that way. We don't want those to be going on in our software or to be allowable in our software. So any of those would be bad. SQL injection in any of our input fields would be bad. Does that answer?
Let me ask you about cross-site scripting, though, right? So cross-site scripting would enable me to inject some text or a link or a pop-up that anybody else could see that could be malicious, right? But when you do the threat modeling on this, well, it's going to be used inside the firewall by employees. That would be like an employee could force another employee to see something they shouldn't, and then you would just fire that guy, right? I mean, is that really that big a risk?
It could be because, you're right, for the internal employees, sure, we would fine them and fire them, but this client is meant to be exposed to the public. We have a lot of government agencies that may deploy this and be using more of a public access type of account. Some of our customers, who may not be government, they just could be a business that there might be some invoices or they might be viewing a bill online, things like that they may kind of skin our client a little bit, so to speak, but still surface the document viewer in some of our components. So, cross-site scripting, we do take very seriously around here.
Okay, so I want to understand what you said. You're saying that some aspects of the application may be public or have wide login privileges.
Yes, absolutely.
So that'd be like government is using it for freedom of information access requests or something like that.
Sure, sure.
So injection attacks is bad. URL sniffing is not so bad because everybody should be able to see everything. Or is that true? If you're hosted, if I'm in a hosted version, there's other. If I'm in a hosted version and I use a tool to sniff the URLs and I get unique IDs, and then I explore other IDs, I could find, potentially, if there's a security leak, I could find data that is not intended for my account, right?
Yes, that is possible, yes.
So you can have multiple accounts per box.
And
they should be firewalled. And if they're not, that's a problem.
Right.
Okay. Tricks. Okay. Someone's asking, what's the market industry for the app in question?
Well, like we had mentioned, businesses, small businesses up through enterprise, the different types of markets. We operate in a lot of verticals. Like I mentioned, government, healthcare, um, insurance, banking, a lot of your big different types of businesses. Basically, any business around the world who could or would have the need to digitize and store information. I mean, that's pretty much the market that we're after. So, and any employee in a business like that, from the CEO down to the receptionist at the front desk. One piece of actually the web client, when you look at the knowledge transfer menu option, that's a feature that we have where employees can go and read the handbook and acknowledge it, or read any type of correspondence from human resources that might have or might require someone to read a document and sign off on it and acknowledge that they've read it. There's no point in having a handbook if people aren't reading it, or how do you know that they're reading it and adhering to it? So yeah, it could fit into any business around the world, like I had said.
Oh, so conceptually, that's really fascinating. So there's a use case where I could say, who's been reading this HR policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I could require everyone to read this HR policy, and then I could come in and see who hasn't read it.
Yep.
Now, conceptually, you could just click on it and scroll up and scroll down and say, give it 3 seconds. But at least that demonstrated that we made you spend some attention on this thing, even if you're gaming the system.
Yes.
At least we're making an effort. But also, you could, I don't know if you've got the feature to do this, but you could look at what's the most popular, and you could sort by most read and least read, to find out what's the most valuable document, or what are the documents at the bottom, and say, can we throw these away, or actually that's really important and nobody knows about it, and so we have to have this ridiculous verbal history where we explain and re-explain over and over again. It's a document that tells everyone that, and it's in OnBase. It's right here. We just need to tell people how to get to it, right?
Right.
So those are awesome use cases. And I imagine there's probably some testing that people could do around those use cases.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The amount of that will feature, again, we call the knowledge transfer feature. What you can see today is what a normal end user would see. We have reporting that we can run against who has read it, who hasn't. There's a lot of administration on the back end. We can also set up tests and surveys, because like you mentioned, I can open the document and scroll through it and then click acknowledge. Well, that doesn't mean they've read it. So it is not in the web client, but in one of our other clients, we can then give them a test to make sure you actually read that document and recorded that score. So, I mean, some of our customers really love this feature, because I forget which state it's in, but they justified the cost of the system because it may have been someone in the securities industry, like trading and on the stock exchange. But if they found out that there was a policy or a procedure or something that someone didn't read, the daily fines were going to be more than the cost of the solution alone. So that right there was an easy sell for us. And I'm sure in different industries there are all sorts of, well, think of the healthcare industry too. All the new drugs that are coming down, or all the new procedures, or the things that the nurses and the doctors and everyone who works in a healthcare organization, they need to read and follow and adhere to. Imagine the compliance behind all of that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I should probably get off of the screencast and back to, where's the video? Stop it. No, stop. There we go. Yeah, so when I was at Social Text, do you guys have a wiki product?
We really don't, do we?
No.
Yeah, the one thing we don't have. You can do it with SharePoint.
Well, yeah, sure. SharePoint has a wiki. It's not the SharePoint wiki is not terrible. I'll say, it's awkward, but if what you're trying to do is create a loose structure for fundamentally unstructured information, a wiki is a good way to do it, and the SharePoint one's not terrible. So I just started thinking about information architecture and how people get to things, and this is an awesome backend, but finding stuff I'm imagining is sometimes hard. Someone is asking, Luke Roberts is asking, what technology Linux.net?
I only heard part of the question, Matt, but to hear it's Linux or .net, that's as much of it I heard. We're going to scroll through the comments.
Sorry, is my audio not cutting in? And by audio cutting out, it's what technologies are used on the back end?
Oh,
so
on the back end.
IIS, is it SQL Server? Is it .NET? Is it LAMP?
3 of the 4. We're using SQL, IIS, and .NET.
SQL, IIS, and .NET. Is it C# or C++? I'm just curious.
The web
ASP.
product is C# and .NET.
Okay.
I did post an answer to that one, Matt, a bit ago. It may not have refreshed on your end.
Yeah, if you're having problems with refreshing, so YouTube comments are pretty nice, they're pretty good, but when you start to get a large number of comments, they don't refresh. So Eric already answered it, but I didn't see it because I didn't click Shift Refresh on my browser. And you're going to want to sort those by newest first if you're doing that. So Eric's been answering quite a few of these. Awesome, fantastic.
Trying to.
Thanks,
Trying to keep up.
Niv. Oh, by the way, did you guys just see we got an email from David Williams? I don't know how he found all of our email addresses. David Williams is a test manager for one of the teams. He's been very proactive about reaching out to us about the competition, asking questions, and we've been trying to filter those answers down through the players list or through other ways to make it fair. I think we did the podcast on Skype, which went out to the players list. Of course, by being the first guy to ask, he got to ask the questions. But he just sent an email to all the judges saying, here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to do it, here's our strategy during the competition. I don't think anyone's ever done that before. I don't know how he got all of our email addresses.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
You
serious research.
You could see everybody's emails in Agile Manager.
Oh, can you?
Okay.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. By the way, you should be filing bugs in HP Agile Manager. If you have any questions about Agile Manager, you can ask them on the YouTube channel, and we'll get you your answers. Historically, some people have had problems logging in. Some people are misconfigured, so they're not in the right team. But we're getting better at that with every round. So I don't think we've had any of those questions yet.
Logged so far.
Oh, nice.
Alright. Back to comments. Which workflows do we recommend be checked?
Oh, performance. Which workflows?
Directly mean not workflow of the product.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're debating about
Yeah.
responses to comments here.
Yeah,
I'm going to check. Go ahead.
There's a question concerning the performance testing. Which workflows do you recommend to be checked? We're not sure we understand the question, so if the individual could clarify what exactly they mean,
I'm guessing they mean single user performance, right? Which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You use a stopwatch on a search and you say, hey, that search took 45 seconds. That seems like it's too long.
Right. Okay. Yeah. If that's the way, if that was the intent of their question, yes. I mean, perform this testing as though you're an end user on the system, and I should be able to find my information in OnBase a lot faster than going to a file cabinet somewhere and retrieving it. So yeah, we're talking seconds. We should see our information within a matter of seconds.
Do you have a standard? I mean, I realize that this is Africa testing software that's running in Ohio, United States. So we're going to have a propagation delay that you wouldn't see if you had your own on-premise solution.
Right.
But do you have a? But you could probably. I mean, there's lots of tools. So you could look at Y-Slow to look at screen rendering once you actually get it, and you could look at the different packets and things. But do you have any sort of expectation? No search should take longer than X seconds.
I mean, it really depends on, of course, how big the database is, how much horsepower we have behind it. But unless we're talking about just pure WAN or connection latency, like I said, a matter of seconds. Actually, I'm curious from the competitors. I mean, being that we're on different continents, how is it performing? Are we able to retrieve documents through the connections that we all have? Because of course,
it sounds like that'd be really useful feedback for you guys, as you don't have that many people on site on other continents most of the time.
Right.
I seem to recall you have something of a European group, though. A few people, right?
Yeah, we do, and for our customers who want to go with our hosted option, yeah, we do have data centers in Europe, Japan, and do we have them in Australia yet? We're standing up data centers all over the world as our customer base grows on the different continents.
Nice.
So yeah, we don't expect all of our global hosted users to be accessing data centers in the United States only. We definitely realize that could be an issue.
No, yeah, you might have a company that is mostly in the United States, that is hosted in the United States, that has remote employees in Australia or Africa, and that might be good feedback.
Sure.
When I was at Social Text, we had a company was hosted in, the box was in the United Kingdom, and they had a significant presence in Australia, which is a Commonwealth nation, which makes total sense. But the performance in Australia was horrible, right? And we said, oh, it's going to take a long time. You're going to have propagation delay. It's expected. Several minutes and then a timeout. No, that's not okay. And Audrey Tang, who's from Thailand, and
we're getting a lot of complaints about people can't log in.
I don't think anybody can log in at the moment.
So how are those complaints manifesting? Are they in the comments?
They're on YouTube, yeah, saying the site's down or frozen or hanging.
Is it? Is the site down? Let's find out.
We're checking right now.
We're looking into it. It may have brought us down.
Can we reboot? Do you guys have like the back end keys to just bam?
Yeah, if we need to resort to that, yeah, we definitely can.
Cool. Let's see. What is going on? What's going on OnBase?
Yeah, we're seeing that on our end too. Let's see.
Can you look at the logs to see why it hung?
Yeah. What did IIS do?
I'm gonna do a reset.
So it's .NET.
Yep.
While we wait, I wonder, Dave, while testing this application, have you ever seen error in /application?
Error in /application. If it's misconfigured, you definitely can.
That's one of my favorite bugs. Like, you wrote this on IIS. Right? This is kind of fun.
Yeah,
I know your architecture stack.
Yeah, typos in configuration files definitely cause that for us. It can happen in other ways too. Let's see.
But I should not be talking to Dave because he should be focusing on bringing the server up. So while we wait, let's introduce one of our judges.
It's back up for us if everyone wouldn't mind closing whatever browser and session they have and give it a try again. But it's back up for us.
Is anyone possibly running performance tests at the moment against the site, because that's going to kill it for all of us?
Yeah, good point. We mentioned it at the beginning of the competition, but yeah, again, please don't do any intentional load tests against the servers, because given the amount of time and just we made conscious decisions, not to load balance this and protect it against denial of service attacks. So we're trusting everyone out there.
Yep, I'll go leave comments. All the people in the YouTube saying, you're right, it was down, should be back up.
Well, guys, our logs are indicating that someone is definitely blasting the server with something. So.
Oh, come on.
Stop. Because you're just ruining it for everyone.
So if you can't log in right now, I mean, it's up for me now. Okay. Although it's been 30 seconds, so who knows? It might be a good time to regroup with your team and discuss strategy. Who's doing what? What are you going to do next? What do you know? Those sorts of things. So let's see if let's see what I can do here. Yeah, it looks like it's back up.
Okay.
We can confirm that up from our side in Cape Town. It's definitely up.
All right, that's good.
Right. I have pasted a lot of comments saying server was down, it's back up. See if I need any more.
Yeah. All they see is this. I'm not screen. I can't screencast.
Okay, yeah. That's right. That's right.
So, Brendan Butt is asking, of OpenBox software team, how do you add yourself to a reading group?
You can't. The administrators need to do that for you. I'll tell you what. We should all be, let me take a look here. See which reading groups we're a part of. Oh, wait. Did it freeze again for me? Bear with me 1 minute. Well, the quick answer to Brendan is users cannot add themselves. That would be done by an administrator of the system.
Okay, I'll get him his reply.
I've already replied to that, Matt.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Guys, I think the site's down again.
Okay. Yeah,
It's frozen on our side.
okay.
Fantastic.
We'll bump it again, but we're seeing just a flood of requests from the same IP address. I don't know if that's a reliable IP or not.
Can you knock it out? Can you say, hey, we don't care, block this IP address?
Our network administrators could, but they're in another building right now. Let's see. We'll see what we can do. If we can trace it down, we'll see what we can do.
I'm going to send an email to the players who's saying, please don't DDoS the box.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
But whoever is doing this is probably not reading the emails and probably not listening to the messages, because they would know at this point that they're actually hurting the other players. Let's see here. So where is...
It's not going to score them any points either by bringing the server down either.
At least we have the ability to bring it back up. For Asia, we couldn't. But it was like a combination of configurations and various, where the middle tier actually recognized DDoS and tried to stop it, turned everything off. So actually, we identified a vulnerability in the software for them because they didn't realize it. They wanted the ability to turn it on and off themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And instead, it was this free open source component they had, which was doing it for them as a favor. We're not even sure if that was actually DDoS. Like, we're not even sure that was load testing. It might have just been 1,000 simultaneous people from Asia. Right? The software just said, hey, a bunch of reasonably similar IPs coming from a place I don't recognize.
Right. Looks like we're back up again.
Okay. What's the email address for? I can't seem to find it. I'll find it on Google Groups.
And again, just to repeat to everyone, in case maybe you were or were not listening to the audio earlier, I mean, we set this system up for you guys knowing that it could be brought down. So again, it's not going to score you any points in the competition to attack it, with the DDoS. It's only going to hurt everyone else. So if anyone out there is launching some sort of attack, please stop. You're not helping anything other than maybe you're happy about it, but you're not helping anyone else.
Yeah, there's a strange thing in the test community, which I don't want to say on a mission, but I really I want to work on, in that we sort of get our reputation by tearing other people down.
Right.
So we go, aha, I found this weakness, hee hee hee, look at how great I am. And we reward that behavior. And what you get is, it's really hard to get things done. So, for instance, there's a security vulnerability in HP Agile Manager, which there are, or it could be viewed as, it's not a real use case when you use it for companies. But when you're in a competition, it could be viewed as a vulnerability. And several people got very, very upset and said, "Hey, I found a way to hack into the software and get other other teams' information." And we're just going to have to rely on people being honest. We're all distributed. If you wanted to get 100 people lined up to find bugs at the same time and then file them on the same 4 computers, you could. There's lots of ways to cheat. We're going to have to rely on people not cheating. And there was some commentary on various lists of, "Aha! I found the great bug! Hee hee hee! How dare you! The whole game should be over. We should restart. This is totally unacceptable." We're trying to have a competition here. It's worldwide in scope, with thousands of players, and we're on a very limited budget. Judges are all volunteers. I get a small stipend, which would make you cry if you did the math on what I'm making for it, but it enables me to do it. And everybody else is a volunteer except for Mike, who has a full-time day job with Diaz&Hilterscheid and is doing this all at night. So to sort of find one bug and then declare everything is worthless, or to DDoS it and say, "Aha, I found your." We have things to police in our community. I'm not excited about that. So I'm writing an email now to the players list saying we're all on the same server for the World Cup for so please don't multi-user performance test it or DDoS it.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, so that's sent. I am picking up some background white noise. I don't know. It's new, but it's bugging me with my headphones. So, oh, somebody just fixed it. Thank you. Should probably check to see if the server's still up. It appears to be still up, so that's a good sign. So it's 1 hour in. Right now, you should probably be regrouping with your teams, looking at your bugs that are filed. I wonder, Eric, do you want to go ahead and log into HP Azure Manager and see if there are any interesting bugs that are filed that you maybe don't want to reveal too much on the video, but we can use the back channel just to see what you're excited about, versus maybe mention the name of a team if they've got a cool bug filed.
Okay.
Don't tell
So
anyone.
we've been looking at it a little bit, but yeah, I'll take a look here and see if there's anything really cool and drop names if we like them.
Yeah, hey, while we wait, what's the maximum file size that can be uploaded?
I believe we have this configured for 4 megabytes. We can double check that, but that should be the threshold right now, a 4 meg file.
Is that 4 megs at 4,000,000, or is that 4 times 1024 times 1024?
I couldn't tell you.
I don't think it matters much. It's sort of nerd trivia. So it's 1 hour in. We should probably start letting the judges introduce themselves, talk about their backgrounds, and get to know some people that are in your local community. So I'm not in Africa much, but we have people on the line that you might want to get to know. Or I think a couple of them are actually in Europe. But so let's start with Adina. Hello, Adina. Tell us about how you heard about the World Cup and your interest in testing it. what you're working on.
I think I was on Twitter when I first found out about this, and I just followed hype shoots. And I've just seen a lot of tweets coming from software testing workup, and I just digged into and found out more details. I think I don't hear you anymore.
I'm sorry, I might have been muted there. What's your big interest in testing? What kind of software do you test, and what excites you? What's new?
It's kind of broad what I test. So I've tested APIs, I've tested mobile application, I've tested web applications, desktop applications. There was a time when I did automation. Now I have 2 projects I consult for, so it's quite a variety.
Thanks. I should be careful with this next question because people that don't know me, especially from other cultures, miss when I'm being sarcastic. My sarcasm is not good. I did a talk in San Diego, was a panel, and I got this feedback like, I can't believe you said this, this, or this. And I gave it to my friends who were in there, and they said, Matt, I have no idea what this person is talking about. Just weirdest feedback ever. And it was because I was being sarcastic, and all my friends knew me, and they knew I was being sarcastic. And the audience didn't, right? So I would say something like, why couldn't you just automate everything? And people took that seriously. Like, Matt's asking a really naive question. Like, no, it was a joke. It's to get the discussion flowing. So, for example, in the same theme, you said you did automation. Why would you ever stop doing automation? Isn't automation the future? Isn't not doing automation anymore going backward? I'm confused. What were you doing, and why did you stop doing it?
Well, you're being sarcastic again, aren't you?
But I think answering the question straight might be a fun conversation.
Okay. So I see automation as a tool. So when I need to check some stuff and do what the machine can do better than I can, then it's time for automating stuff. There are other things that you can do with automation, and maybe you just need to have an eye there and check some stuff and explore some stuff. Because when doing automation, you are actually checking. I mean, you know the expected result, but what happens when you don't know? How can you automate something that you don't know the result for? So, yeah, exploring is a nice thing to do in that case.
So are you saying that having automation that runs all the time on every build and then releasing after every commit with continuous delivery, with automated monitoring and automated rollback and automated testing so that no human ever has to do any actual testing, or minimal, maybe there's a thin layer of exploring happening during story testing, is not the ideal for every project all the time? Is that really what you're saying?
For every project all the time, yeah, it might not be.
All right, why would you say that? I thought this was the ideal for all projects. Not really, by
the way. Testing is a context-based thing, so it's quite abstract to speak about something in general. We need to know exactly what's the app, what do the developers do, how do we organize ourselves, what does did I said that? Yeah, what does the app do? This is very important. What's the development cycle and so on, and then we can say, okay, we can automate everything. I'm being sarcastic too now. Or what's just set up what's the approach for testing. Does it make sense?
So, thanks. Yeah. I see what you're saying, and I think it's kind of a rabbit hole that a lot of people go through, where we have this sort of naive belief in tools, and then years later we come back and we say, well, it didn't work, and then someone else has a naive belief in tools, and they're presenting on it to me. We have to have the same conversation. And there are some contexts where you can be successful with that approach, or something like successful, which leads to, well, it worked for Google, why can't we do it at our little company? So, thanks.
A friend of mine has a word, like a fool with a tool is still a fool.
Sure. So, where are you located, Dina? Are you doing any? You're on Twitter, right? What's your Twitter handle, and where can people find out more about you?
My Twitter is Adina with double N plus PLUS. I'm located in Romania, in Cluj, in the heart of Transylvania. Maybe you've heard about the Dracula stories. So yeah, that's in that area.
How far is that from Estonia? It's close, right?
Estonia. Well, in Europe, Romania is kind of in the middle of Europe. Estonia is quite in the north. So I can Google search the kilometers.
Yeah, I went to the Estonian Nordic testing days. I went to Nordic testing days in May. It was fantastic. I'm told there's a Romanian conference too, Romanian test conference.
Yeah, that's true.
So thanks for playing. I don't know how many of our judges today are from Africa, but they're mostly closer to Africa than I am. So thank you, Adina. Let's meet somebody else.
Thank you.
Margarith, are you there? Let's try. I don't know, Marika. Can you speak, or is there a lot of background noise still for you?
I can speak now.
Okay, great.
Hello?
Yep. You're on. Hello. I don't know if we've met. Tell us about Marika and how you got involved with the competition.
I got an email from Mario, the guy there, and yeah, we're all in Cape Town. It's a small community, and we thought we'd get involved just to see what it's about.
Okay, and where are you located?
In Cape Town?
Okay.
We're all in Cape Town.
You're actually in Africa. That's cool.
Can you see the flag? We are definitely in Africa.
I can't see the flag. So, but
really not?
Yeah. So tell me about the.
Watch.
Okay. I saw
That's
that.
proof we're in Africa.
Right.
Okay. We're in Africa.
That's a Vasuzela, right? How's Africa doing in the actual World Cup? I don't even know. South Africa.
What was there?
Right. So tell us about Marika and what you do and how long you've been testing. What's new and exciting in your world of testing?
I've been involved I've kind of fell into testing through the business analysis route, still kind of straddling both of those disciplines. I prefer the testing, it's my passion, but I'm working for a consulting company where we do basically both. So more business analysis, and then when there is testing, I kind of grab it because it's my passion. Mainly involved in just normal functional testing, no automation, nothing fancy. And moving into ending up managing teams normally at the client, kind of taking the QA role, test lead role when it comes up as part of a project. Nothing much that's new and exciting right now. Working on a forensics on a forensics application currently. Interesting content, but not such interesting testing. Hello?
Okay. Now you said clients. So are you working for a consulting company? Are you building the software? Are you a digital ad agency? What do you guys do?
Yeah, I work for a consulting company, a very small consulting company, and we basically have clients in the financial services industry, banking and insurance.
So and when you say you lead testing, then I'm assuming that means you organize user acceptance testing using the bank's resources plus your skill to do one more pass before we call the software good.
Yeah, and also coordinating the software delivery, kind of the system testing from the software delivery partners that our client has, making sure that things go through the quality gate. It's an agile project, so it's kind of fluid. But yeah, so it's across the entire fundamental test process, basically making sure that we don't skip any of the crucial bits. Planning, estimation, design, actual testing to a certain degree, and then pulling it all together and making sure the stakeholders have the right information to be able to make the decisions they need to make.
So how often do you release to production? How often is you said agile? Do you do sprints?
Yep.
Do you do iteration?
Yep. 2 sprints, 3 sprints to a release, and 2-week sprints every 6 weeks.
Okay. That's sort of the classic extreme programming model, I think. It's every 3 to 4 sprints, you release to production. You have sprints that are 2 or 3 weeks long. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Where can people go to find more out about you?
They can go. I'm on Twitter, not very active. I'm under Thing1, as in Dr. Zeus. I've been tweeting the link. Yeah, and on LinkedIn. Hello? You gone?
Yeah. I was just typing into the YouTube, so I muted. Typing comments into the YouTube of your Twitter handles. Although they're probably in your bios on the World Cup page. I'm not sure, but you're Thing1.
Yes, I'm Thing1, and Thing2 is right next door.
And Adina is ADINNA+. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so. And this is an interesting feature. So apparently, Marika, am I pronouncing that right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, perfect.
Marika, Marika has connected her Google Plus to her Twitter, so it actually came up as Google Plus ID when I tried to type that in. So that's cool.
Who knew?
Apparently Google knew. So what I just typed in is comments at Thing1. Maybe it's because I also follow you or something on Google Plus. Like, there's probably other things I don't even. There's features we don't even know about with this social media, socialness. Oh, I was gonna say, we should check back in with the comments. I'm sure there's a bunch of people asking questions I haven't answered. But another thing we tried to do at Social Tech, which seems vaguely related, is we actually made social streams so you could follow a user and say, I really care about what the manager of QA is doing, and I really care about what the general manager of the department is doing. And you could like their different tweets, messages, documents they upload, pages they edit, all that kind of stuff. So one of the upsides of that is that the software was just getting smart enough to say, you like things that are done by these 4 people, and you like these kind of documents. And so this person just created this document. You should know about it. And it would create a smart social stream just like Facebook does. So you could look at the things that should be important to you that are being created, which I think would be sort of a cool cool feature for document management software. The phrase that we were using at the time was making documents social, but I'm just blathering now. So back to the YouTube and see if there's more comments. So, Eric, I'm a little confused. There's 2 different servers. Why are there? I didn't even realize this. I thought there was just one URL.
No, there's 2 different URLs. It was in case one went down at a backup. I didn't realize until a little bit ago that they're 2 completely independent systems with different databases, so that if like one totally crashed, we would still have an entire other system to use. So I just put that note up there that if you switch from one to the other, you're not going to see the same things, and they're duplicate systems. But if you do something in one, it's not going to exist in the other one.
Right. So you might, for example, if stwc1.onbase.com goes down, and I'm dead in the water, I'm upset, someone was load testing the system, and you could simply change the URL to STWC2, which will be up, right?
Yes, yes.
And that might work until someone takes 2 down and you go back to 1.
Yes, exactly.
So you might triage, just like you would on a real project when people are stealing your environments to use different versions to get the patch out from the other build. So we've got a question about what types of files are allowed to be uploaded, which Eric answered. What if the file type is, say, .js or something else suspicious, .exe?
We specifically block .exe. I believe we block .js as well. Yeah, anything that we would consider to be, a script or, malicious, we do block JS, right? Yeah. Someone should try it. Try to upload a .js, but that should be blocked.
Somebody is clicking very loudly next to their audio input source.
Not us.
I don't know who that is, but
Not Ohio.
It stopped. So, it's really hard to be, what's the word, congenial, to be thoughtful with this Hangout. It's really hard. I'll just point it out and we can, so you tell me if I need to be muted or whatever. It's really hard to be self-aware. I don't mean to be overly critical. But I do want the best experience for our players who are playing along, who are putting up with outages, who are putting up with questions that are vastly delayed because I'm blathering. So I'll try to blather a little less. So you could also, I'm reading Twitter. Looks like there aren't a lot of questions from players on Twitter. If you want to blog after, you're welcome to blog your experiences. If you want to send an email to info@softwaretestingworldcup.com after with a blog link, we'll try to get you on a list of, hey, people are talking about the World Cup. And of course, that gets you a little bit of traffic and a little bit of readership, and it helps everybody. So there's quite a few blogs after the U.S. and the European rounds, and that was really encouraging.
Mm.
So it's 6:20 in Cape Town, right? So almost halfway through the competition. If you haven't thought at all about overall status and what you're going to tell the customer, by the way, customer, do you have any questions? So one of the deliverables is a test report. I think it's a valuable skill to have written communication. On a real project, it might be an email, it might be a conversation, it might be whatever. But for our purposes, we're going to pretend it's outsourced and it's a test report. Dave, Eric, what would you like to see in a test report? What kind of questions are you trying to get answered?
Oh, geez. We should know because we just had to write these a couple months ago. Give us just your overall opinion of the software. I know everyone is going to say it kept going down. We know that. Please try to forget that it was being attacked by an individual or more than a few individuals at some point in time. Give us your overall impression. Were you able to navigate through the software with minimal or really no training. The average user of our software, they'll have read the help files, they will have been trained on it by either, an internal trainer in their company, or they'll have gone through some sort of web-based training. So we kind of did that on purpose for you folks, just to see if you could figure out how to use it. If you are doing some security testing, let us know the security vulnerabilities, and let us know, do you feel the integrity of the data in the system, was it solid, not solid, were you able to find what you were searching for, things like that. And also, depending, which browser you chose to use, we gave you our list of supported browsers. We do most of our testing on Internet Explorer, and then followed by Firefox and Safari. So if you're not seeing something working on Firefox or Safari that really you feel should, let us know about it.
So you're not looking for a decision like if a executive came to you today and said, we've got a really huge plant we could close on. I know it's supposed to go live at the end of the summer, but I really want to go live, like, just for this client tomorrow. That's not a reasonable question, and you're not looking to have that answered?
Well, no, you bring up a good point. Yeah, I think that would be important. I mean, for all of us competing, we know that we're looking at beta software. There are lots of known defects, but yeah, we would definitely like that opinion from all the teams. Do you feel this is a releasable piece of software or not? Very valid to have in the report.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, or another way that I've often done it is, these are the 7 bugs that if they were fixed, I wouldn't know of anything that would really block release. But here's a list of the 45, or here's a URL that gives you a list of the 45.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see them fixed, but never. Give the audience, if you could, some sense of what's a showstopper. What is a bug so bad that we just know we got to fix it?
Showstopper would be, like, I've used the word data integrity a couple of times already. So anything that you would consider, the data that you're putting into the system is not being saved correctly or not coming back out correctly. Those are some things that we really look for around here, because, like I had mentioned, we have millions, perhaps billions of documents, high volume of processing. You've got to get that information right, because if it doesn't come into the system correctly, you're never going to get it back out. So we would consider that a showstopper. Normally, I would say, performance, the server being accessible would be a showstopper, but I think we're all seeing, some people might not be as honest as we would hope today. So we're not really, looking for that. If they find, I know usability issues can be, it's all relative, but if, in your opinion, there's a usability issue that just leads you, I can't use this software, it wouldn't function for me, I wouldn't be able to perform my job as a file clerk. That would be interesting to know about. We'd consider that a showstopper.
You're muted, Matt.
Yeah. So clearly, any kind of data corruption where you can't get the data out or you can't find it is that's what this does, right? The whole purpose of this is to archive files and then pull them back out. So we used to. I work with a company which is. I was talking on the back channel with Eric about it. I worked at a company that had something called a document repository, and we called it the Document Roach Motel because your files went in but they never came out. Because you could actually set the permissions model wrong, so that when you submit it into Document Repository, your type of user, because you had to select what type of user can see it. You had to select me, and everyone, right? or manager. Typical that submitted was the person that submitted was not a manager, right? And so that little drop box of who can see it, managers, regular people, analysts, customers, HR, whatever, it was blank. You had to select it yourself. Actually, you had to develop a habit of clicking the first line, scrolling down the last line, so everything was selected and submitted so everyone could see it. But the default was blank. So the policy was you have to submit your thing to document repository, not that anyone ever had to use it. So you would submit it and you couldn't get it out. So I would imagine that would be a problem because that would defeat the entire purpose of the project. So, 137 defects, that's awesome.
Yeah, Matt, you were mentioning earlier, I'd been looking through some of the defects that are written up so far. There's a few security-related ones which are interesting. We don't have team names listed that I can see easily in here attached to them. But Vernon Jones has a couple. Shekar Ramphal, probably saying that really wrong, has another really good write-up in there. There was one about the help files not matching the product. Functionality should be almost exactly the same. The look and feel may be a little different because the help files for the upcoming version have not been published yet. They're still in progress, so we likely don't have the most current help files. We have ones that would have come out with our last release, so they're going to look a little different. So that's a known thing. We didn't tell them it was a known thing, but it's a good thing to have in here. So. And we are working on getting responses to the couple of questions that just came up recently in the YouTube chat. So,
just a meta point. I don't know about Eric and Dave, but personally, if you frame times for any kind of appointment with me ever in terms of Eastern, that'll go best. I actually have this event, which is 5 p.m. Cape Town, South Africa, to 8 p.m., and a meeting 11 a.m. Pacific, and I did the math wrong and double booked them, so I'm not going to be able to come to my meeting with Tricentris today. Sorry, going to have to do it later because I didn't realize those overlapped. So, Eastern times really helped me. Sorry, it's just meta. I have a habit of saying what time is that Eastern, and maybe I shouldn't force everyone to do the translation for me because sometimes they get it wrong. It is what it is. So, what's next? It's 6:30 Cape Town. It's exactly halfway through the exercise. Molly Magdi is asking, how do we log defects to this tool?
Yeah, just using the Agile Manager.
So they should have an email describing the Agile Manager. If someone else wants to take over hosting for a minute, I'll go look up Molly and see if she's on. I have a list of who got emailed what about how to get in, and make sure that she knows how to get into Agile Manager and has an account. So if Eric, you want to host for 5 minutes?
Yeah, where do I take over? Hold on. How do I take control?
Well, you just start talking.
Oh, yeah, all right then, never mind. I was like, wait, what do I have to do? Okay, yeah, we can talk about things. Okay, so I suppose we could talk about questions that have come up instead of trying to type to all of them. Let me reload the list here, Dave, and we can look at what's going on. Well, that's me. I don't need to answer my own post.
I saw the Chrome question there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're getting asked, why don't we support Chrome? It's funny, we talked with Matt about this earlier, and I guess I've had my first Twitter quote now. It's, if Google would stop releasing versions of Chrome so fast, we could probably support it. And then we kind of laughed about it. But the reality is, because of the rapid release cycle for the Chrome browser, it's just impossible for us to keep up with it right now. We release our software once a year for major releases, and then we offer periodic service packs throughout the year. So on average, we could do 2 service packs. So we're talking a total of 3 releases a year. Again, going back to how often Google releases, it's just impossible for us to keep up with it. It's not that we can't, we've made the decision not to at this time, but we are looking into it for future support.
We have another question from Moab. Do our users have limited access? Some of the documents I create get stuck waiting for manager approval. I believe this is blocking the workflow for me at the point.
Yeah. Since we have turned off the workflow feature on this system, so there is a chance that's happening. Do users have limited? So the answer is yes. You have limited access in some respects. However, you should be able to, if you're uploading a document into the system, you should be able to retrieve it. If you're finding that's not the case, that would be something to write up.
You covered.
So, hey, other judges, did you guys get an email from David Williams on their progress during the testing?
I did.
I'm not going to comment on the content. The content of the email, but he tried to give us the status halfway through, which again, nobody ever thought to do that before. It's neat because he's trying to make this interactive, even though there's no way we possibly could at scale, right? So if everyone did that, we could overload it. But so generally the way we do it, our general policy is the first person to do something new and innovative like that gets a little bit of extra credit. So that's nice. If nothing else, he gets his name talked about on the video that hundreds of people are watching. So that's pretty cool. So someone is loads. Is that right? 18 minutes ago, someone was putting load on server 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're doing it again now.
Oh, and apparently they're doing it again now.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, unless you want us to publicize the IP address, well, we do have it, but we don't feel that is the most professional thing to do, but we always can, because it's only affecting everyone.
It's only affecting everyone. All right, I leave that up to you guys. If you think it's not a good idea, you won't. Toyer Mamaji is asking, are there any of the components of search reused during dev, so we could limit testing based on reused components to prevent duplication? That's interesting.
Okay, so like reusing code for different parts of the search. So if you test one piece, you don't need to test it another way because it's the same code, effectively.
He's also asking if you measure unit test coverage. I don't think you guys do, right?
We do unit testing. We don't currently look at code coverage, anything like that. We have a team investigating a tool, and that's about as far as we are right now. So I don't know. Do you know, Dave, if we've got portions of the search functionality that's reused?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. From a code standpoint, yeah, there is a lot of shared code.
Okay.
Well, should we give them some? Should we give them some non-helpful answer like, actually, all of the code reuses the .NET runtime library? Right? That's not really helpful at all.
Yeah.
Or is there a more helpful answer out there somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you know
No,
the pieces.
I don't know offhand. I mean, basically, well, the quick answer is there are a lot of components in the software that look identical. Like we reuse the hit list in many places. We reuse the viewer in places. So anything that looks identical can be assumed to be shared code, or reused code.
I put that slightly differently in the comment. I put that it's likely. It looks identical. It's likely reused code because it might be.
Good answer.
So should we meet? It seems to me that the comments have slowed down a little bit. I know that you guys are busy keeping the servers up. Oh, there's some other comments. Let me see if they've been answered. It might be a good time to start talking to a few more judges. So Mohab, I'm sorry, I know I'm butchering this. I know I'm not doing well with this name, but Mohab Ayman is asking, do users have limited access? Some of the documents I create get stuck awaiting for manager approval. I believe this is blocking my workflow.
We talked to that one. I thought I wrote a response. Wait a minute.
Somebody dropped.
No, it's okay.
Hold on. Yeah, I wrote a response to that one.
Oh, I didn't. I was sorting by top comments, not newest first.
Okay. Yeah, we do have a workflow component in the product. We didn't enable it for the participants today because it's a whole other huge piece. We wanted to focus a bit more just on the web client itself. So yeah, things could be going into a workflow that you don't have access to. The key thing, though, any document that you create or upload, you should be able to retrieve. If you can't, please write that up. Even if it's going into a workflow, you should still be able to get to a document that you made.
So, question. From all the drop-down boxes, document folders, users, collaboration, which of these are most important to you? Due to a time constraint, what should we focus on mainly now, and what can be deferred to the next cycle? What are your priorities?
Document retrieval is the first priority, followed by folders. Document import is, I would say that's 2. So number 1 is retrieval, 2 import, 3 foldering.
What do you mean by foldering? Do you mean the ability to set up folders like when you would on Windows?
The folder retrieval. We can present our documents within the client in a more of a foldering structure, just like you would see files in Windows Explorer. So OnBase allows you to, they're basically virtual folders, virtual containers that can hold collections of documents. So you don't have to go through a doc type group and a document type. You can group a lot of related documents together as you would, in a filing cabinet. So it's a different way to organize all the documents in the system.
Okay, thanks. I think comments have slowed down. It's 6:40, so you probably at least what is our so if I was testing at this point in the competition, it's saying what is our quick assessment of the status? Let's take a look at the bugs we filed. What should we be looking at next? How can we question that quick assessment with the remaining time we have? What should our test report look like? How can we start working on that test report? Let's split up responsibilities again. You're thinking through all those sorts of things. While you do that and we wait for more questions to come in, maybe we should meet another judge. So, Nicholas, would you like to be on, I don't know what to call it, the Price is Right? This is your testing life? Hello, Nicholas. How are you? Oh, you sound muted. You're off mute, but your audio's not picking up. Sorry. We will let Nicholas figure out his audio and shift to Richard Bradshaw from the United Kingdom. Hello, Richard, and welcome to This Is Your Testing Life. How are you?
Hello, Matt. I'm good.
So I see you a lot on the Twitters. And what's your? I've probably got your Twitter handle somewhere. But
it's Friendly Tester.
Yeah. So I'm going to put that in the comment just if you want to follow. All right, so you're Friendly Tester on Twitter. Tell us about how you got into testing and how you got into this competition.
Into testing was through my degree. So I had a placement year where we did a placement at Lloyd's TSB, where they was a year doing in their regression team. So we got to do a lot of automation. And then after I graduated, it was what shall I do now? Shall I join graduate schemes or see if I can use some of my testing experience? And then I went straight into testing, and it's all I've ever done. In terms of the World Cup, obviously very active on Twitter, so I saw a lot of information on there about it. So I decided to play, and then I decided to judge as well. So I've got the best of both sides in terms of this competition.
So now, if you were listening carefully there, he said something that's kind of dangerous, which is I wanted to play and judge in the same year. We are super careful about conflict of interest. So Richard is actually from the United Kingdom, and he's judging Africa, which we were even that we were kind of reluctant to do, but we kicked it around and said, yeah, whatever. So he's seeing both sides of it, which I think is fascinating. Of course, he was playing in Europe first, so if there's any, he got special powers from being a judge, well, he's playing Europe and then judging Africa. We actually had one player who wanted to play and judge the same continent at the same time and didn't realize that might be a problem. We didn't let that happen. But so what did you go to school for, Richard?
Well, the university, I just did a general computing course, so it covered a bit of everything really, like lifecycle management, programming, no testing at all, and like some database modules. So it's like a generic computing degree.
Okay. And what's new and exciting in your neck of the woods for software testing?
All sorts for me this year. So I'm talking at CAST in August, so currently preparing for that. I've got accepted for Agile testing days as well, so I've got to prepare for that. And yeah, just lots going on. I've recently moved down to London. Well, not moved there, where I'm working in London at the moment. So there's a lot more meetups that I'll be attending down there. So yeah, it's very busy.
Yeah, the Software Testing Club, Rosie Sherry's organization, is very, very popular, especially in the United Kingdom specifically. So they have all kinds of.
It's very big. Yeah, we have lots of meetups.
Meetups. Nice. So Agile Testing Days is organized by Diaz&Hilterscheid, the same sponsors of the World Cup. And of course, if you win, if you win the World Cup for Africa, you and your team will be flown. We'll cover. It's a generous travel allowance for airfare. There's a limit, so if you want to fly first class, you're probably going to pay part of it. But hotel, travel, conference fee waived for you to compete in the World Cup. Now, before, I think the World Cup's Monday night in November. It's early November. The weekend before, we are doing Pots Lightning, which is a peer conference on Sunday afternoon. And we are going to figure out teams and do a competition Sunday afternoon to see who represents the Antarctica continent in the World Cup on Monday. So if you lose, I shouldn't say it, we're all winners, right? But if you don't get first place for Africa, and you manage to get yourself to Europe, to Potsdam, for the competition, you can compete again and get a chance to win the wild card round. And of course, the grand prize is 3,000 euros split among your team, bragging rights, and the trophy, which is kind of a big deal, I think. When you think of the scope of this competition, the first of its kind of a big deal to win the World Cup. So if you can make it, Richard, we'd love to have you at Pots Lightning. Maybe you can help judge. Maybe you can play. Maybe you can hang out, right? I mean, you have these people sweating. The judges have to get all their decisions made in limited time. The players have to figure out what they're doing. You know, I imagine you could just bring popcorn and sit and watch. Might be fun.
I could do, but I'm expecting to be there with the Europe team.
Oh yeah. Wait, we haven't finished the judging on that yet, right?
That's true. Yeah, I know.
I gotta figure out what's going on with that. It's a huge extra. The number of players spiked. We went from USA to Europe, so the judging. I think the number of teams for Africa is back into like, wow, that's a number I could actually deal with. So it typically takes a week and a half to get judging results back. By the way, now we're in the middle of doing 2 rounds at the same time, and in the United States, we're going to have 4th of July holiday next week, so it might be a couple of weeks before we get this knocked out. We'll let you know, Mike. But fantastic. The other thing I should mention is I am doing a half-day tutorial at Agile Testing Days, so it doesn't compete with the World Cup. That's why it's only a half day. It's Monday morning. It's on lean software testing, and I hope it's going to be a lot of fun. I need to go write up that abstract for that today. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate you playing. And are you doing anything new and exciting in terms of a new test technique or exercise or something your team is doing 6 months ago you weren't doing but now you are?
Well, I just started a new gig 2 weeks ago, so it's they do a lot of mobile apps, so that's all new to me. So I'm currently getting up to speed with mobile automation and just mobile, testing on a mobile in general. So that's pretty new. That's pretty good actually. It's been 2 really exciting weeks learning a lot.
So are you using Selenium and Appium to drive it? How are you doing what tools are you using?
So they currently don't have any iOS, and they use Robotium for Android. But yeah, I want to move it to Appium because I know a lot of people in the who work on the Appium project, so get a lot of support. And plus, we can write the same test and run it on both Android and iOS, so that would be beneficial for us.
So talk to me about regression testing with all the tools and automation that you've done. You've worked with more technical teams that have written code to exercise the software. So you can press a button and get test results in some period of time. I'm curious how you manage. What's the period of time? Do you hook it into CI? How long does it take to run? Do you run it across different browsers? And then what additional testing do you do before you release? Or do you just, all the tools ran, time to release? How does that work for you?
No, so we tend to use the automation to do what Adina referred to before as check-in. So the developers, the last few places I've worked, they're encouraged to write some automation to go with their deliverable, so they can prove that the code or the feature can work before it gets to us. So at least the business is happy that it can work in that certain situation. But then we do a lot more after that. We do exploratory testing. We've had users involved in some of those projects. but not extensively because the last few places I've worked at are very quick cycles. So the stories are quite small, and we release like twice a week. So like the regression cycle is mainly automated, and then we do, like I said, a lot of mainly exploratory testing on top, as well as some of the users and product owners.
And this is one of the areas of my interest right now is we have, so we do continuous exploratory testing. We decrease the amount of regression, or at least try to, so that exploratory testing has value across builds, right? So instead of saying, oh no, we lost all of our coverage because we made a change to one line of code, we say, no, we're pretty confident that if we looked at it yesterday, it's probably okay today. And then we can release more often. So are your automated tools, say your last gig, were your tools hooked into CI, or did you run them? Did you run them and get a cup of coffee and come back?
No, everything was on CI. So before we didn't really have test environments there. A lot of it was all done locally. But before we decided to pull a build, we knew that build had passed all the automated checks, as well as all the other tests that were in place.
Did you run one of those per browser?
It depended. The automation that they had was specifically written against Firefox, and we had a few issues using it on other browsers. But they weren't really interested in browser compatibility. They wanted to know that the functionality worked. I know that could mean that it doesn't work on other browsers, but in terms of like a business behavior, they wanted it to know that it did work on at least one of the major browsers. Right,
so you could always say, if you get stuck, just try in Firefox.
Yeah.
Right. Did you ever have issues where the automation passed, but it turned out that the automation was clicking something that was underneath a pop-up, so you couldn't actually see it and click it, and you're a real person?
No, I'm quite experienced, so a lot of my automation, I would say the code I would write wouldn't allow for that. We don't try and click anything that a user can't not click. You mentioned WebDriver. We use WebDriver specifically as well because it's designed to behave that way.
Okay. Nice.
But that's what the cast talks about automation actually, so it's quite interesting. We got onto the topic. It's about some of the myths around automation. So a lot of people think it's like more testing or faster testing, or you can then do more exploratory testing. So I'm going to try and crush a few of those myths. It's based on my experience.
Does that mean you can't do more exploratory testing?
I think you can, but I think it's becoming the next thing now. So it's kind of like if you've got automation, then you just do exploratory testing now. And it's not a bad use of your time, but there's also a lot of other things that you could be focusing on.
Such as?
Oh, you're going to make me give everything away now. But building relationships in the team, educating the rest of the business what it is you're testing, or what testing is and how you guys are doing it. Maintaining your automation, learning new techniques, participating in things like this. There's lots more, testing earlier on as well. So looking at the news stories that might be a few weeks or months away. There's lots of other things you can be doing.
Have you read Rob Lambert's book on remaining relevant?
Yeah.
Okay. I have not. It's on my short list. So it seems like, from what I've heard, that that's sort of in the same space, which is sort of searching for your value instead of saying, I do an increasingly thin slice of things that the team does more and more, and I do less and less as a tester, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think teams are becoming very much, everyone's involved in every area now. It's kind of like a continuing circle, but some people stay in one area for longer than others because that's where their skills will be better used, but everyone is still involved in all the areas. It's probably part of the whole agile movement as well, but
I think that's helpful.
It is beneficial.
The biggest thing I can see to get that working is to create a culture of continuous pairing, because I see teams try to do that. Anyone can do anything, but they're not pairing. So they're like, hey, tester, our bottleneck is dev, so write some production code. What?
Well, that's what my agile testing days talks on. So the gig before last, we brought the developers up to speed doing a lot of exploratory testing, but they were doing it in pairs themselves. But in the sprints, in the planning sessions, I would help them produce test ideas, and then we would plan the sessions, and they could just go at it themselves.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to talk to people about some other time, and I know there's probably a lot of questions we should get back to on the list, but how session-based testing turns out when people try it versus what you really need to do to be successful versus sort of, I guess miss is the right term, we tend to sort of reduce to pithy phrases in the literature. And I think there's a lot more substance and discussion that needs to happen. But, oh, so Eric is, okay. Eric is saying on the back channel he knows the teams that are doing multi-user performance testing. We're going to pass that on, and that's not going to be a bonus thing. That's going to be a not good thing. Okay. So, what's next? Should probably go back to questions.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you, Richard, and
No
look forward to hearing more about what you're working on and maybe working closer with you, because it seems like we're trying to solve some of the same problems, I think. And,
cool.
As from where I sit, honestly, I need another long-term gig. I get to talk to a lot of people, so I see interesting horizontal slices of the community, but that I miss that sort of. I've been working on this for a year and a half, and this is what we've built. Perspective, so it's cool. Time to look at questions. So here's an interesting question. Is Dave still in? Let me check. Eric is in the room. Someone's asking about testing Safari on Windows. Do you even, if they don't have a Mac, do you even care about Safari on Windows?
We do not now. We did at one point. We currently do not support Safari on Windows. I think I responded to that one at some point, but it's okay to talk about too. If someone wants to test with that, it can. Probably not going to do much with the feedback other than file it somewhere, but as of right now, we do not support Safari on Windows.
Gotta get it, try and make sure it worked.
So we're going to try not to penalize teams. We're going to try not to penalize teams that don't have Macs. I think it's kind of unrealistic for us to say you need every piece of hardware in the universe. Of course, if someone had a team that had both Macs and PCs and split their efforts and found interesting bugs on both platforms, well, that means they're spending half of their time on the Mac, and they're still finding good bugs on the PC. We're probably going to end up giving them a little bit of extra points just through the way judging works. But we're going to try not to penalize you if you don't have a Mac. For instance, we wouldn't say they missed a really big Mac bug if it's very clear that they don't have Macs at all. We're not going to do that. Whereas if you are testing on Windows and there are very big and obvious critical bugs and you don't find them, we're probably going to keep that into account. That's especially if lots of teams find them and your team doesn't. What's that about, right? Judging is hard. We do our best to be fair and impartial. We have multiple layers of judges so that it's not just one person who's having a bad day and didn't like what I wrote. It's multiple people. We average them out. If there's a large difference in scores, we try to talk about that instead of just averaging them. We say, why did Matt score this person a 4 overall and Joe gave him, a 20 out of possible 20? What? And we try to have that discussion instead of just averaging it. So I think we do the best job we can with the resources we have, which is just basically the game. So, are there any more questions? I think we're doing pretty well on questions. Shift refresh here. And sort by newest. Sarah Sally is saying, after receiving a set of knowledge documents, an error occurs and persists even if I reopen the session. I can't browse the app anymore. What's the solution? I'm guessing she just needs to go back to the login page.
Yeah, we just need to log back in. I mentioned that one to Dave a bit ago while we were in the middle of, I don't remember, we might have been in the middle of some conversation going on the video, but we didn't know exactly what she was meaning, but I would say try logging back in and see if that solves it.
Okay. Well, that's lame. So if I cut out the www or the HTTPS and I just go to stwc2.onbase.com/appnet/login, I get a 403 error. So I have to type in the full URL. That seems lame, right? Like I need to type in the HTTPS:// because it doesn't default and redirect. That's lame, right?
It was set up. That's not the way the thing normally. Well,
oh, it's configurable, and that's just the way you configure this.
Yeah, it was set up by our IS group that way today, so that's why.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting how many of those bugs are probably just, oh yeah, we configured it this way this time.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right, it is 7:03 in Cape Town time, so we have almost an hour left. We haven't met Nicholas yet. I think last time he didn't have his headphones on. Do you have your headphones on now?
He's muted.
Let's see. Well, it sounds like he doesn't have an input jack of some kind, right? Looks like in Google Hangouts it's saying he's not muted, but it's looking for some kind of input that we don't have. So, tell you what, just leave a message on the Google Chat back channel, Nicholas, if you get audio, and we'll hook you up if that works. Because we can't hear you. Have we met Mario yet?
No. No, yes.
Okay. Sorry. One of you two get unmuted and put the camera on you, and we'll say hello.
Yes, you can do. I'll give Mario first. Woo! Feedback, yours. Is that my microphone? Hold on. My microphone is working. Okay,
wow.
That is good. Is it off? On. Oh, it's off now.
Oh, is Marika in the same room too? Oh, someone just muted. Someone needs to unmute. Someone needs to unmute. Sorry, you guys are all muted.
All right. Okay, are we there?
I think so.
All right, finally. All right, we do it from two angles. Okay, we did it in African time. Right. We'll do CNN. All angles in case one of them is right.
So I think I know Mario from Twitter. Yes.
Possibly. I'm not that active, but I'm there.
What's your Twitter handle, Mario?
I think it's just my name and my surname.
Okay, sorry. Can you type that into the Hangout, and we'll get people introduced to you, and tell us about you and Mario. Is it Mattia?
Mattia.
Mattia. and tell us about what interests you, what you're working on now, and how you got into testing, how you got into the World Cup.
Yeah, basically how I got into testing was trained as a developer. My first job ended up being a testing job though, and enjoyed breaking developers' work and make them cry, so I just decided to keep on doing that. What I'm currently doing, I'm heading up a division of a IT company where we do software testing consulting. Yeah, so I'm not that much operationally involved. I'm more business involved, strategically with clients, and trying to better the quality in their companies and their software processes. So yeah, World Cup basically, yeah, I think was approached by one of you guys on after we wrote an article for the Testing Experience magazine, and we took it from there.
Great. And what's new and exciting in the world of testing for you?
Definitely the current challenge we're facing is when to do mobile automation and when not to do it. So at the moment, the applications are so small and the release cycles are not happening that often that at this stage we decide not to automate, but a lot of clients want to see if they can do it. So yeah, it's a bit of a between the rock and the hard place for us to advise clients to automate versus not to automate, because yeah, automation takes much longer. If they're going to change the front end, there goes the automation out the window. So at the moment, yeah, because the apps are so small, we just actually decide not to do automation. But I think it's going to, you know, if you've got longer, you know, strategic decisions around your applications, then automation might be worth your while.
Yeah, that's an interesting conundrum. So, as I was talking about with Richard, I find that many clients have a naive is probably the right word, but it's a belief in automation and tools. Often because we're dealing with a generation of managers that grew up as programmers, and what programmers do is they automate things. And so when I started, probably when you started, it was common that your line of business manager, your general manager, didn't have a computer on his desk when he started his career. Certainly didn't have a CS degree. And they had sort of a liberal arts kind of thinking, and so they were very amenable to testing ideas. Now we have rapidly reduced cycles. People want to release, they want to press a button, they want to get a green bar, and they have more of a CS background. So there is a belief without evidence that automation will solve problems. And it's really much nuanced with that, more nuanced than that. And I across half my client base, I struggle with just having the conversation. I can know it's not a good gig when I get called up and they say, can you use Watir combined with Appium with Sauce Labs to integrate with Jenkins to create a Ruby script that will go through HTTPS, through our firewalls to report in TAP format, which will be consumed by, and you also need to create a reporting engine that will be drilled down in dashboards. And I'm like, yeah, do we even know that that's the problem we want to solve? Like, that sounds like a very specific solution. I don't even. And sometimes we get, yes, we know that's exactly the problem we want to solve. Well, then you probably want to hire a programmer. That's not what I do. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but it's a tough conversation. Yeah. Or you know, increasingly with Exelon, and we've done a couple of these, as we said, well, we can find someone to staff that out. And then we have to have the conversation about what it is this person's actually doing, and what, because while they're writing the automation, they're going to be testing, so they're going to find bugs, so they're going to have to report bugs, so they're going to have to be a tester and not an infrastructure builder, and there's all to it. It's a familiar conversation, put it that way. So how often are you releasing this software, this mobile stuff that you're writing, and how big are these apps? I'm
Well, it depends on our clients. So obviously we don't do our own software. We mostly write software for different clients in different industries, and it varies from anything from 2-week sprints to 6 weeks release cycles in what they call agile fragile, or just basic cowboy methodology, where they do whatever they want to do. Different levels of maturities at different levels of clients. So it's not one size fits all. But a common trend is definitely that the importance of quality is increasing, and testing. Spending the money on it, that's another question at this stage.
Okay, so are you saying that there's a perception that the people don't understand or appreciate the value of testing? Did they hear that right?
Look, I think everybody would like to have a couple of testers on a project. I don't think every project manager wants to necessarily allocate his budget to testing. So that is really the problem in corporate world, is that I think we can add value, we can prove to them that we're there for a reason, and like someone saying, we don't break the software, we just show them that it's broken. But we do find that testing in South Africa is becoming fairly expensive. Testers are asking huge amounts of salaries at this stage. And I think that's where the problem comes in. So as the profession in South Africa becomes more mainstream, so does the salaries. At the moment, testers in South Africa can earn potentially more than developers, and that, I think, is becoming a bit of a problem.
Well, let me ask. So I hope you guys enjoy this sort of freewheeling conversation. I know I've hijacked it a couple of times, but when you say testers can charge more than developers, do you mean testers that have a specific multi-dimensional set of skills that can do exploratory testing and write automation and security testing? Or are you just saying someone who's or someone who can only do maybe one of those three? Because if they can do all three and they want to charge for it, I say, hey.
A bit of yes and no. In some instances, it could be where a tester is purely a functional tester, not a technical tester, just pure functional front-end type of testing, but they've got more domain experience or industry experience. So particularly in financial trading space, banking space, insurance space, there they obviously can charge a premium. We do also have testers that can do all three. So you can do automation, exploratory testing, back-end database type testing. Security testing is definitely what we see as a very specialized role in South Africa. I think security testers are really hard to find in South Africa. We particularly outsource our security testing to India. But if you do find a security testing in South Africa, he's going to probably charge you what an enterprise architect's going to charge.
Well, that's it. That is interesting. Yeah, I've got similar. In West Michigan right now, hey, if anybody has a visa and wants to come over, I'm trying to hire testers right now, and there's lots of people that aren't very skilled. If you can get to the United States, contract roles. I can't sponsor anybody, but I've got a couple of contract roles I'm trying to fill. There are lots of people that aren't very skilled that are available, some of them cheap. But the good people, there are very few, we're probably in similar position. We're not a huge metro area, but there's technology jobs, and software is just getting complex enough that we need testers, and finding good ones is, most of us know each other's names. It's not a huge community. So Finding good ones is a challenge. Yep. And we don't get as much the domain expertise, but I can totally see in financial services how that could be. That could. I'm one of the 6 guys that has this specific expertise that you want. I'm going to charge for it, which can be challenging. Everybody. The other thing I'm seeing across all, everybody wants to pay less. Everybody wants to cut down the hourly rate, to find some new innovative business model to do something. It's just a common recurring drumbeat. Right? That's okay. It's fair, right? Great. Pleased to meet you, Mario. And it is 7:17. You've got about 40 minutes left. We should finish up our introductions and get back to questions and start talking about the test report. So that brings us to Nicholas. If you want to say hello, you're right there.
Good evening.
Hey,
Sorry,
how you
no.
doing?
Okay, I'm going to contradict everything Mario said. He's changed to a salesperson. He's trying to sell everything. So clearly I'm not earning enough. Yes. What can you tell me about me? Sounds like you know everybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know Nicholas from Twitter. I think Mike recruited you into the World Cup, and we're happy to have you. But you're going to have to.
All right. I'm probably not going to give you my Twitter account. I might get fired within 2 weeks if people start following me there. So you can probably follow me on LinkedIn. That's probably safer. I'll throw my LinkedIn in there for you, in a Hangout. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. Copy shortcut. Yeah, that's probably the company safe one.
Okay.
Or kid-friendly one, if you want to put it like that. So yeah, a little bit about me, my history. Actually, testing for me started about 10 years ago. I won't say it accidentally, but I thought it was going to be a joke. I went to the UK, London, on a 2-year holiday working permit, and obviously looking for a job, and you troll through some job posts or even forums of games, and I saw Sega was actually looking for testers. So one of the guys mentioned if you're willing to work for pizza and low pay, it could be fun. And that's pretty much where my career started, games testing. And from there, came back to South Africa, started a bit of a panic. Due to 7 years ago, South Africa, actually Cape Town, was a little bit not really a friendly zone for newcomers in testing. But I guess I was lucky, and start falling into more of the GIS engineering space for a company in Cape Town who tested software for clients in Netherlands. Yeah, and everything after that is pretty much history. Okay, there's a lot of noises going on now. Is it the input? Oh, it's all the windows opening. All right. Yes, and now I'm working for DVT. Mario is supposed to be my boss. While he's paying me, paying the bills. And my role at DVT is currently a competency lead for testing, trying to motivate new starters, graduates, support testers in the field who's currently working for our clients, and of course just maybe say a bit more no to Mario's decisions, plans, be more of a realist pessimist in his life. I think his wife is probably not hard enough on him yet, so that's where I come in. And yeah, and testing for me is about fun, having fun. I think some people are just taking it too seriously. I guess if you're working in the medical industry, that you might probably want to take it seriously. But yeah. And oh yes, and part-time writing articles if I get time to do it. I think that's where probably this whole thing to the Software Testing World Cup came along. Wrote my first article for Experience Tester or Experience Testing Tester last year, and yeah, that's about it.
If you ever want to write for StickyMinds.com, I need a new article every week.
All right, I'll make a note of that. Mario, I need some more time.
800 to 1,200 words, first-person experience. We have one of the largest audiences in testing. Of course, Diaz&Hilterscheid would love to have you write for the Agile Record. You could write about testing there too. So I like Sticky Minds because we get practitioners to write about real experiences, and we combine that with a professional copy editing staff. So you write it, send it to me, we work on it. I work on the sort of I get testing side of things and make sure that, hey, you said this problem was really, really easy. That hasn't been my experience. I push back a little bit, organize it, structure it, but then we throw it over and get you a contract, get you a publication date, but then we give it to a professional copy editor who has a journalism degree or an English degree, and they actually go through and make it consistent style with Sticky Minds, fix the grammar, any just oddity is just make the writing really good, and they're like QA for the article, right? And get it across the finish line. Of course, you get a chance to revise it. That changes not the content but the style. So your word is still you. And I think that there's not much left on the web that still does professional copy editing that way. We're sort of, the web and journalism has gone to continuous delivery of blog posts. It's type it up and click the submit button, and which is fine for professional journalists who should be able to write their own work. But for a practitioner, I like to think that we provide a little help. So there's a startup specialized in providing software testing services called TestPro would like to seek help in promoting their services. I don't know how much we can help in real time during the competition, but that is something we can talk about. So I'm assuming TestPro is in Africa. Right now, the people that I know in Africa that do testing, the main ones are DVT, which we're talking to. So, those guys are weird.
Thank you for that free marketing there.
Well, you're doing work for free, so hey, you got to give yourself a plug. So, if someone wanted testing services, you mostly do integrated development though, right? You're not just a test service shop. You mostly do everything, or could you add just a few testers to a project if somebody needed them?
Well, according to Mario, we are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to know a bit more about that service. Yeah, basically, what can I say about that? How do we approach our clients? So is that pretty much it? Yeah, probably Mario goes out and tries to convince the client that he requires testing.
Is that on one of your own projects or one of somebody else's? Like someone else is doing a project, you hear about it, it's big, there's a lot of risk. You look at the organizational staffing, you're talking at a meetup, and you realize they don't have any testing, and you say, hey, we should have coffee and talk about this, or is it on your own projects? I'm just trying to figure it out. And did we just lose the connection? Nicholas, you there? Looks like they just lost their connection. We'll have to find out more about their company soon. Right now, it's 7:30, so you have half an hour to turn in your test reports, finish up your final bugs. Now, you're probably thinking, that's all the time in the world. This is going to be really easy. Writing a test report is surprisingly time-consuming, and we are going to significantly start deducting points when reports come in late. If the report it's really not fair to someone that turns in their report on time to the minute what they have, and someone else takes 15, 20 minutes after, right? Or yeah, a long period of time, takes an hour and then submits. It's not fair to the person who did it on time. So we're trying to time box this the best we can. If you're 30 seconds late, you're 2 minutes late, your clock is off, and we understand. Is Mario back?
Sounds like it. Hold on. My side. Because my microphone is working now. There we go. You're back.
We're back.
Back.
Going live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go.
So do you provide test services to other projects, or mostly your own?
Other projects and our own.
Okay. Cool.
Covering pretty much everything of Cape Town and Johannesburg. He's a salesperson.
So yeah, something that we started now new recently is a mobile app testing and a outsourced automation hub in Cape Town. So basically, clients will send us their test packs on the mobile side, and we'll do it across all the different handsets and platforms for them, and give them results back on that. And then we did that specifically on a pay-as-you-go model, so they only pay for the time that we actually do the testing for. And then the automation side, there they actually basically contract us in for a month to 6 months to clear the automation backlog out, basically remotely. So we currently got quite a couple of Indian companies in South Africa competing with the locals, and we're trying to sort of put ourselves on a bit of steroids to offer the same services at better rates. So it's quite competitive out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly is. You can't blame clients for trying to get the best possible deal.
Yep.
Great. So, nice to hear about you guys. I'm sure we'll be talking soon. You didn't say if you weren't going to make it to CAST or Agile testing days, so I'm assuming. I don't know. You guys, any chance you guys can send somebody? It could be great to meet in person.
Well, if you're willing to sponsor us, we're there like a bear.
There's one guy, Timothy Western. He's in Virginia, United States, and we've been collaborating for 10 years. And he can never get to a conference. There's always something. It's just, oh, the timing isn't good. Oh, my new job doesn't have time off. Oh, there's no budget. And I'm just getting to the point where I'm just going to buy him a plane ticket. So 10 years and it becomes a maybe.
We've got that recorded, eh? I'm spotting a bit of panic in your eyes.
No, that's. I'm looking at Marika and her sister, who are Thing 1 and Thing 2, and I didn't realize that they were twins.
Copycat.
I had no idea. I thought there was some sort of weird, there's a mirror involved. Like she was doing a trick or using Google Effects or something.
Hello?
Are you both testers?
Okay, now we can hear you.
Yeah. Are you both testers?
We're going to have to decide who talks. You talk. I'll talk. Yes, answer is yes. So you've had her. He's confused. So I'll talk. Thing 2. Can you hear us?
Yes.
You can. So you want to know a little bit more?
Yeah. Well, are you both testers? And what are the
Yes.
Twitter handles again?
Mine is thing 2.
Thing TWO.
No, 2. Number 2. And I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're Marika Ireland, right?
It's that one. That's me.
And what's your sister's name?
So what comes up under thing 2?
Thing 2 has watching a spider crawl out my window. Is that not you?
No.
I
Yeah. Yes. My sister will find it, but I'm under LinkedIn under my surname.
Right.
The cat matter. And yes, we both started out as biochemists, actually, not IT, and worked in the sort of the food industry for quite a while. I suppose as a professional spice girl, and then I worked in the food industry.
No, that's
Before
not what you said.
You said professional spice girl? Yes, professional spice girl. I worked in a spice factory. I'm serious about that.
All right.
Yes.
Right.
In
Okay.
QA, and that's I suppose where the overlap comes. We did it. And moved did a 180-degree career change from production management and food quality to IT overnight. To DVT? And moved to DVT before Mario was there, and did business and then left when I had a baby and came back as a consultant to DVT, and then worked at the company I'm at now, which is Allan Gray, which is the biggest private investment house in South Africa, and started their testing competency here 7 years ago. That's also where we located at the moment. So we're hosting the event, and we do Agile. We have about 14 dedicated testers, automation, manual, technical testers. We have a host of integrated systems. We run sprints. We release every 9 weeks. And yeah, I run the QA. I haven't tested in a long time. I do the development of the testing space and thought leadership and that kind of stuff.
So, Margareta is the QA manager at Allan Gray.
Sorry?
Margareta is the QA manager at Allan Gray.
That's me, yes.
Oh, okay, right. So we already met Marika, who's your sister, and now we're talking to Margareta. Okay, that also explains the feedback because you're both on 2 different laptops. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually talking on her laptop because mine has no camera.
Yeah.
Africa.
There's just a standard icon picture of the South African flag and a Vuvuzela
and cupcakes. Yes, that's my icon. I'll put it on. This is the live Vuvuzela. I can blow it. I will not do that now.
Okay. Well, great. I'm glad that we didn't miss that. I was confused. So it doesn't take much.
Yeah, it is a bit confusing. You're in the rest of the world.
Right. That's sort of like my special power in QA is to go. I don't understand what it's doing. Like I'm confused.
It's 2 of them.
And people say, "Wow, right? It's 2 of you. Is there a mirror involved? Did you split the screen? Is it a Google App effect? I don't even know because I'm not very bright. So and you're minimized, you're in a little icon. So this is my special power in QA. People have actually said to me, "How do you put on that hat, the usability hat, to figure out that it's too complex, that an engineer could figure it out, but the typical user couldn't? How do you have that special power?" And I'm like, I'm just not very bright. It's just so. it seems to work for some of the people. So, thank you, Marguerite. I'm pleased to meet you. We're glad to have you here. And we should check on questions again and start talking about test reports and how to file them. So let's see here, 169 comments. I know that we've got some huge number of bugs. How can I communicate with the judges through video? Oh, someone already answered that. You pretty much just have to. Oh, they wanted to. I see. They wanted to help sell Test Pro services. So I don't know. I'm a Magdi. Haven't had a chance to work with them, but they seem to be selling services in action. So here's a question. It looks like it isn't answered. Dave or Eric, why are you using different file viewers on the file cabinets? I noticed there's a PDF viewer for completed contracts and a different one for the customer file cabinet.
Yeah, we were looking at that. We're a little confused by the question. For PDF documents in the system, we embed Acrobat Reader, so Adobe's Acrobat Reader, to view the PDF, which would be different than our image file viewer. So I don't know if they're looking at, again, like an image document and then a PDF. Those are different viewers, or are they claiming that they're looking at the same document from two different areas? I'm not clear what they're saying there. So we've been trying to look into that. I'll try to have a better answer in a minute.
Okay, that's worth a try. I'm not seeing a lot of new questions on here. My guess is the teams are winding down.
Traffic slowed down.
Am I missing something? Am I not refreshing?
No, I haven't seen anything new in a little while, so we've been trying to keep up on comments and bugs as they come in.
Yep. We've also had a drop in the number of live watchers, which is reasonable. So people are saying we need to focus on getting our report written. And I like to introduce the judges. I like to have a little bit of fun. It can be a distraction. It can also be an opportunity to learn about what the judges value. So just like a real project, there's multiple sources of information which you have to. The challenge is how to sift from the fire hose and what information you want to use, what you want to reject, how much multitasking you can do, how to split your time. That's just like any real software project. We try to simulate it pretty aggressively here. I think we do a good job. So is there, Eric or Dave, is there a long-range vision for where you want this software to go? What are the new features that are being released with this? You said it was a new product. How is it different than any old product?
This isn't necessarily a new product. The web client itself has been around since 2005. We continue to make updates to it for every release, which is kind of why I talk so much about usability and styling. You know, every year we try to make it look a little bit more user-friendly. And you know, back in 2005, when this was originally created, we had no mobile devices, you know, tablets, smartphones. I mean, they weren't really out there. So I think a lot of consumer and end user expectations are now driving business software and how it should look and feel and function. So we're trying to, not that we're trying to play catch up, but we're trying to kind of close that gap with enterprise software. And I would imagine a lot of software companies are running into this challenge too, where it's what the buzzword is, consumerization of IT. I think we hear it, or we refer to it as that. CEOs, executives, managers that have iPads and have tablets are now driving how business software should function and look and feel. And I don't think that has definitely affected our company, because it's those types of users that make the purchasing decisions on sometimes whether or not to buy a piece of software, where it used to be whoever was in charge of IT, had the say in everything. So with all that being said, we're just trying to make all of our OnBase clients, more usable, more feature-rich, of course, faster, and to be able to scale more as time goes on.
So, does that mean this should be responsive design? Should it work on tablets? We haven't talked about tablets at all.
The web client that we're looking at, probably, at least in the foreseeable future, it won't. We do have other solution offerings that are designed specifically for tablets and specifically for mobile devices, but I can't say for certain. I mean, we might take this product in the direction where it'll work on a PC, on a tablet, it'll work on anything, but we're really not certain about that today. I think it's going to come back to what are our end users, what are our customers going to be asking for, because it's one thing that we really try to focus on, and we can attribute to our growth over the past 2 decades, has been listening to what our customers, not only our existing customers, but the prospects are saying about the software. Some of our competitors out in the ECM space think that they're going to set the standards and that they know how the software should work and should function and should feel, and they try to force certain things on their end users, and a lot of people don't respond to that too well. So we've kind of taken a different, more customer service, more customer listening approach, and take the feedback. So that's why I've mentioned several times throughout the session here, give us your usability feedback. Let us know how you think the system is working for you.
You're muted, Matt.
Yeah, okay, better. But I'm confused. So it's probably not going to work on tablets, so don't test that. And it's an existing app, so what are the new features in this build? What are the new features from this release to the previous release? Bug fixes? Is there some vision? Is it just we upgraded all of the infrastructure at our annual upgrading of everything, which is what Highland does once a year, and so now we have to retest our client on all of our new infrastructure?
Well, we have, of course, fixed a lot of bugs. There is a lot of underlying new architecture support for different languages and different characters that we can allow in our database. We don't really have the chance to test that today. We decided to make this an English-only system. But a lot of the styling, the icons, the coloring is new for this release. The document import feature has been overhauled to a point. But other than, I mean, we've been focusing a lot on just keeping up with the new browsers. When IE11 was released, Microsoft did if there's any people from Microsoft on the phone, I'm sorry, but they did a wonderful job of letting the dev community know and giving them advanced copies for Internet Explorer 11. So the day RTM was out there was the day that we got it, and then we had to start developing our code to work with it. And to a point, the same thing with the new versions of Safari and the new versions of Firefox. I mean, it's definitely a challenge to keep up with the new browsers as they're being released. We have gotten, and I understand where people are coming from, we have gotten a lot of criticism like, well, you don't support this browser, you don't support that browser, why can't you keep up with it? Like, well, we're not just a website, rendering in a specific browser. We're a web application with close to 3 million lines of code running on the back end. So, so again, to answer the question, not a whole lot of new features, but so much of the underlying code has been rewritten for browser support that we want to make sure this release that it's still functioning the way that it always has been. Because a couple years ago, this was an Internet Explorer only product. So maybe in the past 3 years, we've begun our Firefox and Safari support. And maybe someday Chrome, we hope.
So if I'm hearing correctly, it's a running to stand still kind of a thing, where the version upgrades of the browsers is actually a treadmill that is going forward all the time, and you have to retest in order to make sure that you can support all of the new versions of everything that's coming out. To some extent, along with some maintenance and some bug fixes and some minor features here and there.
Right. This release, yes.
What you're really interested in we should talk about this. This would be a fun conversation. Maybe do a Google Hangout just on something like this, an article or something. That the mission is, over time as systems become legacy and you have a large install base, the mission of testing often shifts to make sure you didn't break anything. Make sure this same functionality works, which is kind of a different mission than when you're building the software itself, or when you're adding major new chunks of features that cross-cut across concerns, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And we face that within our company. Well, honestly, every day or every release cycle. I mean, we're always developing new products. We're always developing new features, and in doing so, we're in essence bolting on to our existing client, our existing code, our existing features. So yeah, it's always a challenge to make sure that it not only does the new stuff work properly, but does the old stuff always work as well as it has been, because we have some software or some code that's going on 20 years old, or well, I should say the first line was written 20 years ago. So we got to make sure it's functioning the same way as it always has been.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so there's a question in the back channel I'm trying to read. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I am totally comfortable with answering what to put into a test report. I can answer it multiple ways, multiple points in time. And teams that are listening on Twitter, teams that are listening to YouTube, teams that are listening to reading the YouTube comments can all get different versions. And it's not just my opinion, it's what the judges would like to see in a test report, because they'll also be judging. So Richard is suggesting that I repeat what a test report should contain. So that's very context sensitive. It depends on what the client wants. We talked about this a little bit earlier. So this is not, it's pretty early beta. There are probably going to be some bugs. And we're probably not realistically trying to make a ship decision based on a document, which is the kind of classic test report. If I were doing this, I would say, this is what we know about the software now, and list the biggest bugs we find. This is what we covered in that time period. This is interesting questions we have uncovered. So if we had more time, these are the kind of things we'd be looking into. Summary of the bugs that we found so far, the key ones, and then a prose English summary maybe of what's left, right? So there's 47 other bugs, but they're all typos and minor things, workarounds. And you can always go to Firefox. It always works in Firefox, but maybe it's buggy in IE or vice versa, right? So there's a standard strong browser everything works in. It's broken here and there. So if you fix these top ones, we think we're okay, or not, right? There's 47 bugs, and they're all really bad. It's really messed up. We really need a serious round of fixing. But we're trying to give information to our customers about what they should do next. And what we might recommend might be more time testing, might be more time fixing, might be, looks pretty good. Like the marginal value of investing more time in test fix process might be very small. How I would do that if it were me is I would use a communication technique called the inverted pyramid, where the most powerful, awesome bang for your buck is in the first couple of sentences, just like any executive report. If they don't read past the first 2 sentences, they still got what they needed. If they read past the first 2 sentences and it surprised them, the answers to their questions are in the next 2 sentences. If that surprised them, you keep going down. Low-value stuff is at the bottom. Stuff that you might want to think about including that you might not have time for. You've got 8 minutes left to file that bug report, by the way. But typically, like the conditions we were under, which led us to our strategy. Here's our test strategy, and then here's why we picked that strategy. You might want to include that. Like we thought creating automated tests in Selenium was the best thing to do, WebDriver, because you could reuse them, and the customer expressed a strong interest in doing tight iterations, so those artifacts would be valuable. That's not true here. That'd be the kind of writing you might do. But it's not my software. So, Dave, Eric, any thoughts on what you as the customer would like to see in the test report?
Wow. Well, Matt, I think what you had already mentioned, given the amount of time, here are major issues. You had mentioned, yes, we're in the middle of beta, making a ship, no ship decision today. I mean, if you want to throw that in there, great, but I mean, we know it's not ready to ship yet. Yeah. We're just looking for these are what you would consider critical. These are what you would consider showstopper. And you had mentioned, browser discrepancies. We're not requiring that teams test on every supported browser. We just wanted to give you a set of browsers that you can test on. But if you did notice between Firefox and IE, like you had said, one looks great, one looks horrible, that's what we want to know about it. Because we'll be looking at these knowing and admitting that, hey, we didn't give you any really new features, new hot fresh stuff to go and look at. So this is just an overall functionality test of the software. Do you feel that it works? Do you feel that it doesn't?
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. You're the one reading all the reports. That works for me.
All right, I think that's pretty good. Do any of the judges have strong opinions about what they'd like to see in the test report? In the 5 minutes we have left to go on record about, Matt, you forgot this, or I really like to see that, or in my experience, this rarely has value. Any of the judges want to have a comment?
My only biggest thing is that I've zoned out a bit then, but is that what you didn't do. Like, a lot of people always say, I did this, I found this, but like tell us what you didn't do as well. Or, like you said, what you'd like to do in the future, but also just areas that you didn't even touch, and potentially why.
Yeah, and in obviously, on real projects, my preference is to work really close with the customer and make those decisions as we're doing the testing, so that if and when I had to deliver some sort of briefing, it's kind of like, yeah, you told me that, I knew that, that's right. But we're simulating a more traditional hands-off outsourced project, and there's plenty of those that's still around. So absolutely, I think that's a good idea. And the client can look at that and say, I don't care about any of that stuff. Well, great, we did the right thing. Or they can say, yeah, you better take 3 more hours and test IE6 because we've got a really big client who's on IE6. We almost forgot about them, but they're really important. So, is anybody still on? I think IE6 is pretty dead, though, right? Really. So oldest people really anymore are using Windows XP and IE8, I think, right? Not a huge surprise. I worked at a company, and we're going back a few years, where people would call in with, we can't get the YouTube widget to work in IE6. It's terrible. It's unacceptable. And we said, yeah, go to youtube.com. And big thing flashed up saying, YouTube.com doesn't support IE6 anymore. You need to upgrade. If the main website doesn't support it, the widget that embeds it in your web page, it's not going to work. I thought that was amusing. 3 minutes left. If you're playing, you should be finishing up your test report, finishing up any bug reports. I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, I'm ready for a really late lunch.
So we started at 11 o'clock Eastern time. I don't know about you guys. I had a peanut butter sandwich or something at 10:30. That wasn't quite going to do it.
No.
Dina, you've been quiet. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I was thinking about the report. I took some notes at a certain time, and I've noted that, like, Dave and Eric were saying something that they seek usability things. So one of their questions related on what to contain the report and what they want to know is that if people were able to navigate without having a training. So what was their experience as users without having prior knowledge on how the system should work? So that might be a good hint to include in the report also.
Yeah, absolutely. To make it more of it sounds like a consulting report might be more valuable than a test report, right? So I really haven't seen many of these. Most of the people that do these don't hire me, but I know some companies do. The status is red, yellow, green. 95 test cases out of 205 passed. We're at such and such a percentage. There's 55 criticals, and there's 35 normals, and there's 165 bads, or low bug. Just a one-page bunch of metrics, kind of a test report. And I don't know that that's actually going to have a ton of value to the client here. If it were me, I'd probably be giving them advice, and then providing, oh, by the way, I think you should do this and this, pay attention to this, look at that, here's why, oh, by the way, if you want, here's some links to some of the most important bugs. And you can do that by number, I think. You can do bug number 55 and then description, bug number 65, description. If you want to make that a hyperlink, of course, that's even better. So Word, PDF, PowerPoint, Excel, all fine. And it's 8 o'clock, right? So I think we're done. Get your reports in. It's time for me to stop the live broadcast. And
Not according to Team Integrant.
Yep. And thank you for playing. We will be in touch over email. There's also a software testing World Cup players list. If you don't hear from us and you're concerned, shoot your questions on the list.
All right, that's how we end it in South Africa with a vuvuzela.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's all say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.